Join us in Omaha, Nebraska on Saturday, October 5th, 2024, as I'm proud to present the most unique and fun paranormal event in the United States this year. Historic Haunted Heartland, Part 3, Reconsider Everything. Presented live on stage at the beautiful Benson Theater in the heart of Omaha. The fun starts with the pride of Alabama, the paranormal researcher and investigator that has the paranormal community all abuzz, Joshua Darren. Next, veteran paranormal researcher, lecturer, and motivational speaker Dustin Pari from Ghost Hunters will captivate the audience. And finally, back by popular demand, Omaha welcomes to the stage paranormal and occult expert John E. L. Tenney. He's going to leave you absolutely spellbound as he delivers one of his signature weird lectures. Tickets are available this summer, and I invite you to visit Necronomicast.com. Follow the show on Facebook for more information. Historic Haunted Heartland 3, Reconsider Everything. Brought to you by Necronomicast, Saturday, October 5th, 2024, a night that can change your life or your afterlife. From Omaha, Nebraska, the capital city of the historic Haunted Heartland, my name is Brian Corey, and it is my pleasure to welcome you all, every one of you, to this special episode of the world-famous Necronomicast. Tonight is my pleasure to bring to you, faithful listeners, a conversation with Dustin Pari. With over 20 years of experience researching the unknown, Dustin Pari brings exciting and positive lectures about the paranormal all across the country. You've seen him on Ghost Hunters, Ghost Hunters International, Destination Truth. He travels the world looking for answers and expanding his understanding of the unseen realm. From writing books to radio shows, doing podcasts, and being an invited guest lecturer all around the world, I'm super excited to bring to you, Necronomicast listeners, the great Dustin Pari. And now calling in on the Necronomicast Newsmaker Hotline from Providence, Rhode Island, my friend and yours, the great Dustin Pari. Dustin, I'm so excited to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thanks so much, Brian. How's it going, man?
It's great, man. I'm super excited not only to have this conversation with you, but to I thought it might be kind of fun to kind of speculate for the listeners what might happen here in Omaha when you make your appearance here with John Tenney and Josh Darren in October for part of Historic Haunted Heartland. But
yeah,
you've probably got
cool, man.
400 events between now, July, and October.
It's I'm thankful to be very busy. You know, I think we've done 40 something events so far this year, maybe even more. It's hard to keep track, man, but I'm thankful for all the opportunities. So, and definitely looking forward to getting out there to Omaha, man. I love it out there. So we have a nice time.
Well, we're going to have a lot of fun on stage and around town if I'm able to show you around very much or hang out with you. But, I met you at Malvern Manor. There was an event there, and I was really impressed. Like, you see people on television or you read their books. I read Kaleidoscope.
Thank you.
And you see people on television or you read about them and you don't know, here's a paranormal researcher or investigator of note in my community. I wonder how they are, and then you meet him and I was like, wow, this Dustin Pari's the real deal. Like the positivity that he demonstrates online, like on Twitter, which is hard to do. The positivity that he demonstrates on Facebook and social media was just so apparent. I mean, there was just so much evidence of your positivity live there at that event at Malvern. I have a very short list of people that I would really want to invite and bring to Omaha for a big special event. And man, to have Dustin Pari, so exciting.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that, Brian. It's just, just trying to be kind to others and try to make this world a better place. That's what I am all about. And I have this little platform that was, brought to me thanks to my interest in the paranormal. And I still love the paranormal and all the spooky things. But I feel like there's a bigger conversation that's a part of the paranormal world, and I think as us realizing that, we are spirits going through a human experience. This human experience is meant for us to do certain things. And I think it should be for lifting each other up and loving each other and helping each other through it and learning together. And rather than tearing each other down just to see how high one person can climb. And I think that there's a very big spiritual lesson in there for all of us. And so I know some of us just want to hear spooky EVPs or see a shadow or get scared. But for me, the paranormal's never been about being scary. It was about having that bigger conversation about what happens from before we got here and what happens after we got out of this life, and what should we be doing now.
Yeah, for sure. And I appreciate you saying all that. Like I had Adam Berry on the show, and he had a fantastic book that just came out not too long ago, Goodbye Hello. And it was really investigating our reactions to grief and the paranormal, and like when we lose somebody. So I'm really drawn to like historic, like the paranormal in terms of history. Like we need to preserve these stories and our folklore and everything about it's nice to talk about like the ghost that's in this house, but let's talk about the house. Let's talk about the person that it might be. Let's talk about the life and the times of the person, the impact on the community. All these things kind of are just as important to me as the floating apparition going down the hall. Just
right.
There's something to be said about looking for more life after what we have here on Earth. And that's why I really enjoy like digging your online stuff and listening to your lectures. Like I've watched different ones that you've had, and just the approach of how this all binds us together, like this human experience, and then going forward.
Right. Yeah. Because we're all woven together, right? Well, we're all here. Like the threads of our lives intersect. And I mean, you and I meeting out at Malvern Manor, and then you deciding to incorporate me as a part of your event. I mean, now I get to travel out there, see you, and who knows, I'm going to meet at that event, and what I might come up with a lecture or John or Josh might say that might impact the lives of those other people. And it's all about that ripple effect, and just spreading these ideas. And just, to your point, like you go to a paranormal investigation. Yeah, we hope that we might see something, from the other side, some evidence of life after this one. But there's a pretty good chance that we might not come across anything at all. But every time you go on one of these investigations, there's an opportunity to learn about history. There's a snapshot in time that we are exploring, that we're trying to understand, that we're trying to touch in some way. And keeping in mind that, we want to see, an apparition. We want to hear a disembodied voice, but who was that person? And what was their impact on the community? And what effect does us still telling their story and saying their name have now? I mean, everyone follows me online. Like I'm, and it's not unique to me. I think a lot of us like to hang out in like cemeteries and things like that. And not for anything spooky, but just the reverence, the respect, the understanding that all these people have come before us. And someday that will be us, and other people will be strolling those same lanes and walking by our grave sites and walking by, maybe reading our name aloud. I'm known for loving to clean up the stones and put up the flags and all that. And it's just something for me it's a nice show of respect, and it's a nice peaceful way to just kind of clear my mind, and also to put my own life into perspective and the problems that come with each of our lives. I was doing an event just last week at the old Conjuring House, the old farmhouse down here in Harrisville, Burrville area, Rhode Island. And I had investigated that a good 8 years or so before the movie was ever made. And the movie's mostly BS. And the owners of the house are wonderful in tearing apart, not degrading the movie, but saying like, listen, this didn't happen, that didn't happen, which is good because you need to separate fact from fiction. And but I took everybody outside the house, and everyone's all excited to investigate, the Conjuring House. I'm like, I do my Spirit Quest events. I'm like, we're not really here for that. We're here for connecting in a magical place where there's a lot of energy to talk about our own spirituality. And we took a long walk outside into the woods in the middle of the night. And I just played tribal music from an old native drum session, because that was old tribal lands. I was like, let's just stand out here, listen to the drum music, stare up at the stars, and just look at how tall the trees are. Look how far away those stars are. And then when we come back, we'll have a discussion. We'll just be quiet when we're out there. And sometimes, you see shadows out there moving around the trees. Sometimes we've heard other drumming. Somebody heard chanting while we're out there. It's fantastic. But for me, the payoff is coming back and having the conversation later about, when you're out there, you're not thinking about how frustrated you were in traffic today on your way to work. You're not worried about how expensive everything is right now at the grocery store. When you're standing there looking at how tall these trees are, you realize how small our problems are. And you see how far away the stars are, and you think maybe about how little we are going through this life and how small this little bit of time is for us to spend here. And it's more of a spiritual understanding. And it helps us, I think, to maintain a more positive aspect as we go through the rest of our lives, And anytime we can do that, we can sit and have these spiritual conversations. And I think a lot of it comes about because of our interest in the other side, which is a wonderful jumping off point to have bigger conversations and to be more thoughtful of what comes after this and what we're doing right now while we're still here.
I love it. Yeah, I'm coming up with this concept that I've titled the event that you're going to be a part of in October here in Omaha. And I'm entitling it, it's Historic Haunted Heartland Part 3, and it's Reconsider Everything. So it's reconsidering what we think a ghost is, reconsidering what a paranormal encounter might be, reconsider what afterlife might be, reconsider what, and then of course, John and Josh, especially John, will go through a thing where we're thinking like, a space alien is a Bigfoot ghost. Like he makes us really reconsider everything.
Right.
But what's neat is like not being, pigeonholed into this one thing. A ghost has to be this, or a paranormal experience has to be this. But like, let's open our minds and let's talk about the human experience. Let's talk about how all these things are shared experiences, and like maybe it's okay to put down the EVP recorder. It's okay to put down the EMF thing, and let's kind of gaze outward, like you said. Like let's take a look at the stars. Let's take a look at the forest that's out in front of us, and let's really start to think how we might all be connected together. Not only us in the present, but in the past and in future generations, and how this mystery of life unfolds behind us, in front of us too.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's a wonderful journey. And I think a lot of the problem that we have comes down to our perspective, because we are creatures of habit, and we kind of get comfortable sometimes, and our perspective gets jaded, and we start to believe that what we've seen is what we know, and that's all that there is beyond that. And Tenny is one of the best at getting your mind all twisted. Like, you question if even by the time you're done with the Tenny lecture, you wonder if you exist. Like Bigfoot might be looking for you. Like, who the hell knows what's going on? But it's so wonderful to have that juxtaposition and to be able to ask those questions. At the event, the lecture that I'm going to be doing, my Plus Ultra lecture, is all about looking at that perspective and changing that perspective. And I think something that's so important for us and hard for us at the same time as people, which is maybe why it's so important, is knowing when to move on from our older beliefs and understanding. So knowing when it's time to evolve our understanding, and forgiving ourselves, and even embracing the fact that at one time we believed something that, you know what, my own experience and the other things that I've come across, the other things I've read, the experiences of my friends and my family have shown me that my old ways were actually not correct at the time. I mean, for many, many years as a society, as mankind, we've believed things to be one way that, as time goes on, we find out, oh, no, like that wasn't right. I mean, I know there's still some flat earth people out there. There's been a resurgence, but for the longest time, that was the original belief, right? And then we finally evolved beyond that and realized, oh, no, that wasn't actually correct. And it's hard to let go of those old understandings, especially if you're older in life, because for the majority of your life, you believed one thing to be true. And now you're being told, actually, that's not true. And a lot of us feel foolish. A lot of us feel like we've been manipulated. And it's okay. It's okay to move forward with a new understanding, embracing something that helps you to evolve as a person and to evolve you spiritually as you go through the rest of your time here. You don't want to just sit around still believing old things just because you don't want to give up old habits, but we don't like change. It's uncomfortable, it's difficult, and it's hard. But only through those moments of struggle can we ever have growth emotionally and spiritually and physically as we continue through this human experience.
Beautifully put. Beautifully put. One thing I really liked when I met you at this thing at the Malvern Manor, and I got a chance to kind of watch you work and lead an investigation and whatnot, I thought it was really cool that you, and I incorporate this too. I'm a musician. So like when you started like incorporating like some music to kind of stir the air, kind of maybe get some kind of some kind of psychical momentum going, back and forth between the other realm and where we're at. I was like, yeah, right on, man. I totally dig this, and it's totally starting to make me like with last year's event. And I know I'm kind of rambling, but with last year's event, I had a jazz musician on stage, and him and I kind of interacted with the crowd. and made them a 170 piece kind of choir. And we just kind of did this back and forth, like feeding energy off each other. He was improvising, we were singing and playing. Then Cindy Kaza came out and did a psychic reading. So when you were doing the music thing, I'm like, this guy gets it. because it's a way for us to connect on a way that's not just like we're talking, but like music can connect people from different time periods, different ethnicities, different social classes, and also from in space and time.
Right. But because at the core of all of it, I mean, the reason I started using music in my investigations was I thought this is kind of a nice way to signal to any of the spirits out of here that I'm trying to get their attention. If I'm playing music from, the 1920s or 1940s, and that's when they were alive, maybe that will bring back that moment for them, because I use the example all the time in my lectures and stuff. Like I remember the first time I heard Bobby McFerrin sing "Don't Worry, Be Happy." I got into my mom's 1984 Toyota Camry on my way out of school. And I was like, she had this old used car. And she's like, oh, you're going to like this song. And she turned it up. I'm like, I love this song, And now when I hear it, it brings me right back to that moment.
Yeah.
So when I go investigate, like, an old World War II ship, like I want to play big band music. I want Glenn Miller. I want that type of atmosphere, especially some of the war songs and stuff. Like what better to try to get their attention and be like, yeah, like you're the one I'm trying to connect with, but that opened up a bigger understanding for me too of just about, and this is one of the things I started doing at my Spirit Quest events, is the talk about vibration, about how all our energy, everything is some level of vibration. And it's interesting to me now looking back and seeing like some of the stories and the theories. And I know I get my tinfoil hat out and I enjoy a lot of ancient alien stuff and everything, but we started talking about harmonics and maybe how those were used in incorporation of the pyramids, or even from my own understandings. And again, if you've seen me talk, but anybody out there who hasn't, I love all world religions. I'm all about peace and love and understanding, different prophets, different tongues, different books, same core message, just be a decent human while you're here and try to love each other. But my understandings mostly come from Catholicism and Christianity, how I grew up, but I've studied Buddhism and Taoism and Judaism, and I love the major world religions, such good stuff. And I'm not trying to leave any out. I just don't have time to lift them all. But
right.
But one of the things, like I was just listening to a podcast the other day, and like it was just a biblical like prayer podcast, but they were talking about walking around the city of Jericho, and for 6 days, like all the tribesmen would walk around the outside because they needed to get inside. But how are you going to get through these walls? And for 6 days in silence, they would just walk around with the exception of the chanting of the holy priests and the blowing of the shofar, the horn. And then on the seventh day, they did it so many times that all of a sudden the walls started to crumble down. And I started thinking, what does this have to do with sound and vibration? And if we look at some of the experiments that we can do, just putting sand on a tight piece of leather or on a tarp, and then you play certain musical vibrations, it'll always make the same geometric patterns. And there's tons of videos on YouTube and stuff out there you can watch, but you can do it yourself. And it's so cool to see how these same patterns will develop when we play the same frequency, the same tones, and we hit that same hertz level. And we think about how all of this is made up of energy and vibration, and the water that's within our bodies. Every cell vibrates, and everything's connected in that way. And so when we go to an investigation, we play those sounds, we play that music. Something I used to use a lot when I was on international. I never used it on camera because, again, they wouldn't let us play such things. And now there's two different things called Spiritcom. Spiritcom, one of which was like a really shoddy ghost box, and the other Spiritcom was just this vibrating frequency and resonating frequency. And I still have the download, and I play it from time to time. And for me, that ties in with the idea of several Native American cultures here. When they would have their ceremony and they wanted to talk to spirit guides, they would have like a leather strap that they would whirl above their heads to create that sound, that whirling sound that they believed would allow them to communicate with the spirits. And I think we're doing the same damn thing. We're doing the same damn thing, but now I'm just using technology to create those sounds, instead of the whirling strap. But we're making that frequency connection between this world and the spiritual realm. And I think there's so much more to be explored there. And I've probably done a horrible job of explaining it, but it's interesting as hell. And the more I mess around with it, the better results I'm seeing.
Yeah, like three things popped in my mind when you were going through that, and I was like, right on, right on, right on. First one was like when I was hanging out at the Villisca Axe Murder House one time in the attic. I was thinking about the family and what they had been what they went through that night, or
Yeah.
and they were at a church service immediately before. They kind of went to a community service at night, so I'm sure there was some prayer and there was lifting up of song and everything. So when I was in the attic, I was trying to think of old, like traditional hymns and kind of hum them. Maybe I thought, like a connection between my time now and the time of 1912 through song. Another thing too, there's a real cool scientific thing. Like when we were in brass class, I'm a trumpet player. So when we were in brass class, what we would do is you take, and sorry folks if this is kind of nerdy, but you take, you might play a third of a chord, somebody plays the fifth of a chord, somebody plays the root, and you mix around. And if everybody is perfectly in tune and you really listen, you'll get those frequencies mesh in such a way that it creates like an octave or two below. You can feel it and hear it. And so like this tone, it's almost like a ghost tone. So if you're totally harmonious and you're in the right pitch and everybody's breathing and playing the right volume together, everything's just clicking, you'll get the sound of that complements the chord down below an octave that nobody's playing. It just comes because of the mathematical frequency, how it resonates. It's called a resultant tone. And I'm like, man, that jives so much with like my paranormal thinking too. Like if you're in the right place, the right time, the right people, the right mindset, something that's not maybe there will make itself known,
Right. And it comes down to energy, right? Like I believe that, and I've experienced it myself. When I go out and do investigation after investigation, all these years now, 30 plus years of doing this, I usually attract certain types of spirits if they are there to communicate. I usually get very jovial ones. I usually get like my EVPs or my ghost box sessions are usually like very funny. Like no one's like downtrodden. No one's like super serious. I usually get a lot of women and children. And that's who I usually attract. I don't attract the angry alpha male screaming, get out angry types, because that's just not me. That's just not what I do, but my energy level, and I've noticed too with over the years of the people I work with definitely affect who we might come into encounter with. And when I work with Barry Fitzgerald on Ghost Hunters International here in the States and working with KJ McCormick, two of the people that I had the most interaction with in terms of attracting spirit. And I get along with everybody. My friend Brandy Green on GHI, we got along famously, still very good friends. But every time we investigated together, nothing would ever happen. Nothing would ever happen. I would go and have a great session with somebody, swap them out with her. And it wasn't so much that there's anything wrong with her, but our energy together didn't seem to make that signal or hit that vibration or result in that lower mathematical octave being played, And it's just like you said, it's just a mixture of right place, right time, right energy. And I think that has so much to do with everything. I mean, just in this life, you attract people that are kind of like who you are, right? Like, not all of us are going to be exactly the same. That would be a very boring, like French vanilla experience. We don't want to all be driving the same car, wearing the same clothes, doing the same shit. But like, within your friend group, there's a lot of common threads. There's always that one oddball that you keep around just to make fun of. But for the most part, like we all kind of have those same common threads, and it's a beautiful thing. And I think that extends beyond this life too. And when we go to investigate or try to be a part, honestly, I even hate the term investigate. Like who the hell are we all of a sudden? Like we're friggin' detectives or some bullshit, we're hunting down things. Come on, man. Like it just doesn't work for me, Right. But if you're going to have a spiritual encounter, having that right energy level and keeping yourself in a good place mentally, physically, emotionally before you go to do this is so very important. And that's why I have a hard time. And honestly, it's getting more difficult for me when I do an event style investigation and I get the people that like are gloom and doom Sally, like right from the beginning. Are you trapped here? Are you in pain? Oh my God, I feel oppressed when I'm in this room. I'm like, oh my, you are projecting a ton of nonsense. Slow down. It's not like that. It's not like you see in the movies. It's not like you see on all the shows. take it easy. Like, allow things to be positive, allow things to develop, allow yourself to just experience what's there without projecting all these preconceived notions about how haunted or horrible a place is, because a lot of it is just BS. And it's just what it comes down to. The spiritual experiences I've had in all the years doing this, I can't put an exact percentage upon it, but I'd say it's largely been loving and caring and just interesting. And I got knocked down once. I was being a real jerk at the time, probably deserved it. Other than that, it's always been really great.
I love that thought, especially like the combining of like good, like an event or something like that, or an investigation, if you want to call it that, with like the right mindset, like the right combination of mindset of people. Like when I'm putting together this event, in my past 2 events, I just don't just book somebody, or get somebody. Like the first year I shot, I was like, well, man, it'd be really cool if I got John Tenney. So I sent him an email, and then he's like, yeah, I'm available that weekend. I'm like, oh my God, now what am I going to do?
I'm amazed you get a response from John Tenney. It takes like an act of the Vatican to usually get him on the horn, man. He's tough.
He actually made a joke about it on one of his last 10/10 Tennies for his Patreon page. Yeah. He's like, hey, I do email people back, right, Brian Corey? And because he saw that I was watching. Anyway, but so then I'm like, well, who do I trust around here in the paranormal, like that can deliver not only the goods, but also deliver a good, positive, a real message, And so I'm like, Johnny Hauser from Villisca came in, and then my friend Jamie Nestrel from Midwest Paranormal History Tours. I think you know her from the Omaha Haunticon. Mm-hmm. I think he came in for that convention.
Yeah.
So great storytellers, great people, people with integrity with John. A great night. The next night or the next year, my friend Andrew Vogt, the saxophone player, known him for 30 years, brought in Cindy Keza, who I met at a Strange Escapes. And I was really blown away just with like her authenticity as a person, just talking to my wife and I when she didn't have to, she's on TV, you know what I mean? But just a real person. And Tenny was able to come back in again. And I tell you, I'm really struck with the authenticity and the positivity, again, a running theme of Josh Darren, to bring him in and talk about his experiences and hauntings and history of the South. I think that'll be super interesting. And then, of course, you with your positivity and your good message. And then, once again, got John Tenney coming in to deliver a signature weird lecture. But the thing is, it's like a night for people to go in and enjoy in a beautiful historic theater that totally embraces this paranormal concept. They have radio ads where they talk about now the 100-year-old ghosts. And I totally take credit for that. for this event. But like, I really like having this message of not doom and gloom, not focusing on people, how they died or some tragic event. It's like, if somebody is persisting after bodily death, what do they think of us now? What do they think of the world now? Do they wish that they were alive now? Or do they think back like some of us do, like, oh, it was better back in 1984? And just thinking about things like that. And so reconsider what it means. What's a paranormal event? Well, let's reconsider what it could be. It could be just fun, exciting discussions and interplay with an audience. It could be musical. It could be, who knows, so reconsider
absolutely
the paranormal that we can't even define. It's like, why throw all these definitions on someone that we can't even define?
I've yet to work with Josh. We text from time to time, and I follow him online and really like what he stands for, what he's about. So I'm looking forward to meeting him for the first time and to working with him there. And you just remind me of a story. Tenny and I, we did an event many, many moons ago at the old Fort Wayne in Detroit, Michigan, like the actual fort. Oh. When you say Fort Wayne, people often think Indiana, but there's an actual military fort there.
Yeah.
And I think it was like the middle of late summer. Yeah, maybe midsummer, late summer. And Tenny and I were there, and we were paired together, like they rotate the groups through, and Tenny and I were the investigators for this one area, and it was like subterranean. And at the end of every segment, we would start singing a Christmas carol and invite everybody to sing along to help raise the energy and the vibration.
Yeah.
And people were pissed off. We weren't taking it seriously. This is a scary thing, and we're laughing and singing Christmas songs. Like, And we're like, you can't change that perspective for some of them, and like, if that's how you want to look at it, you're more than entitled to, but man, you're missing a large part of what could be a wonderful time. But it was great. We were just trying to bring joy and people got mad about it.
That's crazy. Yeah, I know what you mean. I've been to events or things where people just want to be dour.
Yeah.
And if you're a thrill seeker and you want to kind of get spooked, if that's your thing, if that's your motivation, there's totally events for that. And that's cool. I
Yeah.
guess, I'm not putting anybody down. Like we said, we
No.
reconsider how we think about things now versus how we thought about them years ago. So maybe
Right.
there's always room for growth or,
Yeah.
time to kind of think about, your mindset too, reconsidering all that.
16-year-old Dustin was a thrill seeker. It was going into abandoned buildings, laying down in coffins in the old funeral home. Like that's what it was. That's what I wanted. But 46-year-old Dustin doesn't. One, I don't want to run at all anymore. There'll be no running. Shit hurts now. Things crack. It sounds painful.
Right.
So there'll be no running. But it was my own evolution. So I'm never mad at somebody if that's what they're there for. There's enough shows for everybody to enjoy different things. There's enough events for people that enjoy different things. I mean, that's why there's so many flavors of ice cream, right? Because we don't all like the same thing, and that's completely fine. But what I like about the style of event that you're putting together, and the things that I focus on when I do my events, even if you come there only liking the paranormal for the scary concepts, right? If you're at least willing to allow us to kind of plant a seed in your head of something different that maybe right now will not grow, but in time it'll be in there. And then you'll have your own evolution when the time is right for you, when you're called to do so. Just like every other thing in this life. We may be looking at the same picture from two different sides for so many years, and it's only until we've had so many life experiences where we can see it the other way. And that's completely fine. And it's beautiful and it's wonderful. And not just the paranormal, but every aspect of life. It's good to learn other people's perspectives, to try to see it from how they see it, and not to just automatically get angry at somebody because they have a different opinion. And also, and this happened to me recently, I just reposted something. I didn't even really chime in much, but all of a sudden I get a lot of hate about it. Like, oh, you and your opinions and your conspiracy theories and all this stuff. And like, I used to have a lot of respect for you. And one guy just wrote back to, because I just avoid nonsense. I just avoid that stuff. But I wrote back to this one guy because I'm like, hey man, I appreciate that you followed me for so long. You don't want to follow me. You don't have to. I said, but we probably like different sports teams too. And you're probably still okay with me. And he wrote back, he's like, I didn't think about it that way. I'm like, yeah, because you're just upset because I don't like the things you like, but there's probably a ton of those things. But it doesn't change who we are as people or the things that we have to like about each other. Like, that's still very much there. But my experiences from what, I've done in my life and yours are going to be different. And that's wonderful. That's a wonderful thing. As long as you're not being hateful in your opinion and you're open to discussion, I think it's a great thing to have different perspectives. And I'm thankful that we all have that.
Yeah. If you only have that one perspective and like just whittle it down to, if you have that one perspective about how you go about thinking or approaching or investigating or researching the paranormal, that's all you're going to see. Like you're just getting a small sliver of what's truly out there. So if you like open your minds to other concepts, other thoughts, other what it might be, what it could be, at least have an open mind to these things, then you have a much wider kaleidoscope of
Thank you.
You're welcome. Cha-ching. You have a wider kaleidoscope and a scope in a sense of what things might be, could be in this mystery. Do you ever get a chance to, I know you're super, super busy. I mean, you toured constantly and I love it. And you work a day job and you have a family, but do you ever get a call like Dustin Pari from a friend or something like that? And can you come investigate a house just privately, no cameras, just like something's going on? Do you ever get those calls, or are you able to kind of do that kind of grassroots stuff?
Here in New England, I'm able to do so. But unfortunately, a lot of emails and things come in from outside of New England. And I don't have the fundage to travel and to do those things, and I never charge somebody to do an investigation of a home for private residents. So usually I would try to get people in other locations in touch with investigators I know around those areas. But here in New England, I mean, even if it's up in Maine, the southern part of Maine is only like 2.5 hours. It's not like it's a huge drive, So here in New England, I have a lot of connections and friends and stuff. So I'm happy to go help out when I can there.
That's cool. I'll
Yeah.
I'll I'll give you a recent case that I have. Now I don't have the reach and the scope that a Dustin Pari or somebody like that has, but people know me from around here in Omaha. Somebody reached out to me and asked if I could come check out their home, and it wasn't too far from my house, and it was in a nice part of town, a house
Mm.
less than 30 years old, and they're very sane. Like I did all that kind of background information and
Yeah.
everything, and I was totally comfortable in their presence and in their home, and they were just telling me um, what was going on, and it was very odd. And I kept coming back to a concept where uh, the spirit or whatever they thought was in their home, I was like, I think it's a former owner who's very much still alive, and
Mm.
or the energy. So like the house less than
Yeah.
30 years old, a man built it, lived there, took very good care of it, got older, needed to downsize, sold to, and he's still alive, sold it to owner number two. Owner number two totally let the house deteriorate, let the house go to hell. He was a miserable kind of a son of a bitch. Like he thought kids in the neighborhood egged his car, so he pulled a gun on them. Like
Oh my
just,
God.
just terrible, terrible angst, this whole thing. And then like when he sold the house to the people who spent a lot of money, a lot of time renovating it and making it their home, like the whole buying and selling process with this gentleman was awful. I'm just terrible guy. Anywho, so they were feeling this negative presence, and mediums came in and they thought they saw this and everything. And I just kept coming back to the fact that I think that for 9 years this guy lived in this house and just let the house deteriorate and crumble around him. And I was just like, you guys need to interject some positivity in the house, like
Yeah.
parties and really claim the space as your own. And it's so weird that like I talked to them not too long ago and they're like, things are a lot better. And it's not anything that I did, but I was just like, it's not demonic. I don't think I
Right.
don't think it's I think it's just like our whatever you want to call it, our consciousness or whatever can totally affect our surroundings and other people.
Yeah.
And I know that I've heard you talk about on other shows like ghosts aren't just necessarily dead people. So I thought I'd throw that on you and get your
Yeah. No, for
reaction to
sure.
that.
I mean, we have abilities, and this is a part of the lecture that we'll be doing there. We have abilities that we don't use anymore. We have so much power within us, and we've been taught to play small, stay distracted, stay divided, stay drugged up, stay dumbed down, and just get through life. And the hamster wheel that we've stopped using all of the abilities that we have spiritually and our energy forces and these things. And the idea that our energy can help to manifest a sensation around us. It can help to make things feel one way or another. And I mean, we've had that experience, right? Like you've been to a market or Target or Walmart and you walk by somebody without even looking at them or talking to them. You just get that shiver. You're like,
Hmm.
it's just like that bad juju. Like, oh, there's some, and then sometimes somebody will even look at you and you can see it in their eyes, like, oh, this is, and they're not possessed, they're not demons, they're just assholes. But it's there and it's tangible. They can feel it. And it's like, God, what have you been through that somebody turned you into this type of monster? Because I always think, like, I always say, no baby was born a jerk, right? Like, but we become one sometimes because of our interactions with other people, the way we've been treated, the way we haven't been raised, or whatever it might be. But there's some people you just come across them, it's like, oh man, just bad energy. Like you want to go and like sage like every aspect of yourself after you just walk by them. But like, so there's something to be said about someone just like you mentioned, who lived in a home for many years, sat there, probably stewed in his negative thoughts and his anger, and just constantly put it out there, and it absorbed into the environment. I mean, we talk about residual activity and residual hauntings all the time. What is that more than our energy that is absorbed into the environment? And eventually, when the things are just right, some of that stain on the environment shows itself for a moment. And for this poor family, their house was just this cesspool of negativity and anger from someone who that's all he put out for years. And so, yeah, you need to raise the vibration. You need to paint the walls bright colors, open the windows up, sing some songs, do whatever it is. I don't know, host an orgy, whatever makes you feel good. As long as it's consensual and everyone's of age, just do it.
I'll let him know that Justin Pari, paranormal investigator extraordinaire, said have an orgy. I'll let him know.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if you're into that kind of thing and everyone's of age and it's consensual, whatever.
Whatever puts a smile on your face, right?
Life is short, man. Life is short. I'm all for consensual humping. That's what I keep telling people. Just enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Short.
Yeah. Heard it here first, folks. So like Dustin, like I everybody knows you're this powerful motivational speaker. You wear your heart on your sleeve in terms of authenticity. You have this great attitude when it comes to these topics of the afterlife. But I was just wondering, I'm also I'm blessed to be the MC, the host, on stage host of the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference. Do things like monsters or Bigfoot, or are you down with UFOs? Like what? Yeah.
I'm down with all that stuff. Yeah, the first tattoo I ever got is of one of the classic grays, the gray alien. So I have that on my leg here. I've gone off to look for Bigfoot in New Mexico with a native tribe, which was fantastic. They all had guns and everything. I didn't have a gun, but they all have them in case, I don't know. I never even want to shoot a Bigfoot personally. I just want to see it. Try to talk to it, like it might be super intelligent and very, very kind. I don't want to try to shoot anything, but they did say like they were out trying to hunt for Bigfoot. I know some people do, but there was, there's other animals in the area out there that you got to protect yourself from. I was like, okay, that's fine. So we're not trying to kill Bigfoot, like, sight on sight. That's fine. But we did that. And I've gone looking for some of the cryptid creatures here in New England, just over the line in Massachusetts. There's Pukwudgie and those kind of things. So I've gone looking for those. The Dover Demon. We had something else down in Connecticut. They call it Vampire Road, but it's not Vampire Road. The Melonhead Kids.
Oh, no.
Like, all these wonderful things. I'm like, yeah, give me all the weird, creepy. I always say this, man. I say it all the friggin' time in my lectures. I don't want to live in a world without magic. I don't want to live in a world without the Loch Ness Monster or UFOs or the potential to run into Bigfoot when I'm on one of my hikes. I want all the weird stuff because this life was not meant to be, let me sit in my car for an hour in traffic. Let me sit in front of a stupid blue light computer and press buttons for 8 hours. And at the end of the day, I get back in that car and drive back home. I eat some garbage takeout and watch stupid ghost shows and then do it again tomorrow. That is not a life well lived. You need to get out there and explore some stuff and have some experiences and have weird shit happen to you. Like that is what I feel this life is about, is those journeys, those moments. And that's why like Christmas is so important to me. Like I don't want to live in a world without Santa Claus. The magic of Saint Nick and that Christmas spirit that comes around. Talk about like feeling, man, good emotion. That Christmas spirit is there for a reason, regardless of your religious understandings. And you put up the lights, you got the tree, maybe a little log in the fireplace or something. Man, it feels good. It feels good. You drink the eggnog, you have a good time, sing the songs. I don't know, man. I just feel like you need to have more in life than just the material world. And that, I think, is why we are so depressed and struggling right now, is because this has become our world. Let me just get on my phone and, I'll call an Uber and get in a car and a stranger and will drive me to where I want to go. I'll go on here and I'll order some shit from Amazon. In 2 days, it'll be on my doorstep. And in 4 days, I'll be bored of it and it'll be back in the basement. And it's all garbage. It's all garbage. Like the physical world is not what this is about for us, but this is the concrete jungle that we've made to enslave ourselves. And it's just a real kick in the ass, man, because it's a friggin' joke. It really is. It frustrates me to see people struggling so much within the walls of a prison they built themselves. I read something. I always try to give credit when I can, because I'll find something that I think is very interesting and I want to utilize it, but I always like to give credit, but I can't remember where the source was from, but it said that, we live a life that we think is free because we just can't see the cage anymore. But it doesn't mean that we are any more free than we ever were. Nowadays, we're all slaves to the phone, right? Like I've seen people lay on airport floors because they need to be closer to the plug because they're out of juice, And we've worshipped the idols of technology. We've lost our spirituality. Whatever God or goddess you want to believe in, man, believe in something that's more than this. Because this will let you down. This world is not what we thought it was supposed to be. And we have lost our way so much. So believing in magic, believing in the spirit of Christmas, believing in ghosts, looking for Bigfoot, staring up at the sky, looking for aliens, whatever it is, tap into that weirdness, because that makes you feel at least like there's something bigger than what I'm being shown every day. Because this ain't it.
Yeah. Amen, brother. I was nodding my head. My neck's almost sore from nodding my head in agreement. I said this over a year ago on the show. I was struck when I was talking to Becky and Galentine. We were talking about stuff, and because she was she collects spirit boards, and people were always talking about spirit boards and how they conjure the devil or how they're portals to. And I'm like, okay, if you think about it. If you think about an Ouija board, you're kind of in a darkened room and you lay your fingers upon it and you move your fingers on it in hopes that you're communicating with somebody out there or something that you can't see, and ascertain some kind of mysteries of the universe or whatever. And I'm like, well, what's a cell phone? You sit in the dark and you put your fingers on it and you move it around and you're communicating with somebody or something out there. You don't know who, but you're communicating and in order to ascertain some part of the universe that you're trying. I'm like, dude, this is way more
the people that you're
diabolical than a
the people you're going to contact on the phone are much more evil than anything you would ever get using a piece of cardboard or wood in a little plastic planchette, my friends.
Yeah, Parker Brothers ain't
got to get a relationship with the devil, man.
Yeah, I was like, Parker Brothers ain't got shit on Apple. You know what I mean?
I love it. Look at this. Our energy's in sync from all this miles away, but we're both throwing out Parker Brothers.
Yeah.
I love it.
Right on.
Love
man.
it.
Right on.
Absolutely.
Listen, like I am so excited to have welcome you back to Omaha, welcome you like over to my home and have you meet my friends and my family and my community and just to have a good time here because it's all about having a good time. Kind of exploring these crazy topics in a fun, entertaining. Yeah, there'll be some fright in there, but there's a cash bar, so there's going to be some fun as well at historic haunted heartland. Dustin, I know you've got books on Amazon. I know you have DustinPari.com. You just did a huge tour. I'm sure you're probably going to try and like repeat it again next year. I know it was like GhostDoYouBelieve.com. I mean, how can people, other than those that are traveling to Omaha to come see you in October, but like how can they, if they like what they hear from you from here and they want to explore your world and your thoughts a little bit more, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, DustinPari.com is the best link for all things Dustin Pari. Last name spelled Pari. It's DustinPari.com. And then you can check out my my YouTube page. I have a bunch of motivational videos on there called Hey, Got a Minute? There's also some like spooky location walkthroughs, a bunch of weird stuff on there. And that's just youtube.com/Dustin Pari. All the links are on my website. And then you can join my Patreon page. I have something on there that's called the Acolytes of Kindness. And it's the lowest tier. It's available for everybody. It's just $5 a month. I have other tiers where we do spooky things and monthly calls. But Acolytes of Kindness is the thing that means the most to me. And it's, like I said, it's just $5 a month. We have weekly Quest of Kindness, where everyone that's involved with the AOK project, and no one's obligated to do any of them, but we do fun little things like Operation Candy Cane Bomb, which last year around Christmas time was just buying a box of candy canes and putting them all on the driver's side door handle of cars outside of a church or a synagogue or a business place, whatever it might be. Sticky notes in public restrooms, putting them on the mirror saying, you look great today. You've got this. Little positive messages. Little things like that, man. Like around Thanksgiving time was putting a $5, $10 bill and writing Happy Thanksgiving on it on a note and sticking it on a turkey, because that might help somebody who doesn't have enough money to really get all the things they need for themselves or their family. So the Acolytes of Kindness, we have weekly Quest of Kindness that we all participate in. And at the month, we do a monthly kindness challenge for ourselves. And so a lot of things about meditation, raising our vibration, and finding ways to live in more positive light. This way we can help others around us. So the monthly quest is taking care of ourselves, and the weekly quest is taking care of everybody else around us. And we have a monthly Zoom meeting to discuss what we did in that month together. And that, like I said, that it's only $5 a month. It's not the most lucrative thing I do by far, but it's the most meaningful. Like I love it so much, and people get a lot out of it. And it's funny because I know which patrons really enjoy the sticky note things, which ones really enjoy like hiding things or oh my God, I have one guy, real quick story. One guy came to one of my events and he told me, he's like, so my wife's here with me tonight. He's like, she doesn't know about the AOK project, the Acolytes of Kindness project. He's like, so she just thinks I've been really sweet lately with like leaving sticky notes inside the car saying, I love you, honey. He's like, so maybe I'm like, I'm not going to mention it at all. And she came to introduce herself and we're talking. And she's like, since he's been like talking with you and everything, he's become so much kinder and sweeter. I'm like, he's a great guy. I don't know what you're talking about. But it's just so cool to see like the effect that it's had for him in his life and for so many others. And so it's very meaningful to me.
Well, he still carried out the tasks. He still did it. It still resonated in his heart so much that he wanted to do it. It doesn't matter where he got the idea.
It doesn't matter where it came from. No.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't like you told him to do it. He's like, yeah, that's a good idea. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So
if it's in your heart to do it, you go do it, But hey, man, I just want to thank you too, Brian, because, it means a lot to me. Like I've been doing this a long time, but it's never lost upon me how important it is for people to take their time to come meet me. So thanks for coming to that event in the first place and getting to know me, and then to put your trust in me to your event's your baby. And in part, you're putting it in my hands and putting me on that stage as an extension of yourself. And I will not let you down. And everybody that comes to that show, I will do my best to ensure everyone has a very nice time. And hopefully it takes away some really good, positive ideas and some weird, spooky things to look at a little bit differently. So thank you so very much for that.
Absolutely. I'm so glad to have you on the stage in October at Omaha's Benson Theater. But to also have you here on the Necronomicast. I should have done this a long time ago because I've really enjoyed this conversation and getting to know you like over the years and just and not only with the conversation face to face, but like when you follow somebody on like Twitter or social media for a long time and you read their posts, it's not like you're nice 90% of the time or you're not genuine 75%. You know what I mean? It's like you always have a positive spin on things, even when things aren't positive in the world or even in your personal life, but you always seem to have that glimmer of hope. You sign your emails, never give up, and you always end your broadcast day. I always like that. Like there's Dustin doing that. And you always pay, special kindness to those that are so sad or in a state where suicide might feel like an option. Like you're always showing people never give up. There's reason to live. There's reason to smile or to be positive. And so having you on my program, having you come to Omaha, much, much gratitude, sir.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so very much. I look forward to the good work we're going to do together, man.
All right, everybody. Dustin Pari right there on Necronomicast. Well, there we go. Friends, neighbors, countrymen. My conversation with Dustin Pari, episode 277 of your Necronomicast podcast. I mean, everything that I said to Dustin, I'm super excited to welcome him back to Omaha as part of this event. And I'm telling you, folks, July 15th, tickets go on sale. John Tenney, Dustin Pari, Joshua Darren, in the beautiful, majestic, haunted Benson Theater in Omaha. All right, episode 278. We're about 2 weeks away from that, everybody. It's going to feature Lyle Blackburn in an episode entitled Monster, what am I going to call it? Mythical Monsters and Musical Mayhem. Or maybe just Monsters and Musical Mayhem. You get the idea. A little alliteration there for you. Like I said, we're just chugging along here with Necronomicast. Got a lot of things coming up I'm excited to announce, but I got to finish them. I don't want to be the guy that says, hey, big thing's coming, but I got to get them done. So what am I doing here? I'm just talking. It's time to go get some sleep. I hope you have a great life and a great night. Thank you for listening. Support your creatives out there. Until next time, friends.